All right. It looks like this is finally working. So I'm streaming to you from my workspace to demonstrate my custom Light Show Choreography system. I've built this in Unity. It uses a great many custom shaders for light beams, for lasers, for holograms, you'll see soon, projection mapping, and the rest of it. So why create this? I did this because I think that music and light shows go well together, obviously. I think they're exciting, particularly inspired by Jean-Michel Jarre's concert, by Monolink's Circle concert. These were the two main inspirations. Personally, I'm a music fan. I would love to make my own music, and we'll put on little concerts. So I wanted a system to combine art through LED screens, laser light shows, and just begin to build up a repertoire and an experimentation with these systems. Being who I am, I think holistically, and I can envision the music, the lights, the images. So to bring this into a physical fashion that anyone can see, I think is extremely exciting to me, and I hope you find it interesting as well. To celebrate this, I'm coordinating with Nova Productions out of UK to present a digital fashion show in April. We already have artists, we already have musicians, and we're preparing to organize the show now. If you're interested in being a sponsor for the show, contact me. We're adding a few other additions to the interactivity for the system that you might be interested in. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this was initially built, of course, around Ready Player Me, which sunset its activity. I've now created a custom avatar system that brings in GLB models and converts it into something that I need to run a few other secret sauce custom shaders and events and things happening within the system. So what you see here, of course, is the fashion runway. There's a proper concert stage with a live video backing. And let's take a look around. Above us, you can see laser light shows. You can see light beams. Both of these are both custom shaders, but also custom timeline clips. The system I've built lets me import music, time a show to that music, and then edit it to give us exactly what we want to have. The screens right now are surrounding this particular concert stage. And using another custom shader, I've been able to build LED screens that can show individual images, that can split images across many screens, that can strobe the screens, scroll them, and do other things like color cycling, color changes, all in time to the music. So here we have two different types, beam lights and static plate lights. The plate lights are the rectangular ones you see above the stage. Let's give you a quick demonstration of this. All right, there we go. This is what I'm using for a test bed. And of course, we have a drone show and a fireworks show that I'll get to later. So all of the screens themselves can be grouped any way I like to. The screens themselves are aware of their position in 3D space. I'll work on the avatar smiling. Okay, the screens are aware of their position in 3D space. This allows me to set a center for any time delay or strobe effects that I want to bring into a particular choreography. And clicking on a particular clip will allow me to choose set lists, to choose screen effects and the rest of it. The stage lights themselves are the same. I can choreograph the intensity, the strobing, the kind of color work that'll appear from beam to beam to imitate a real concert. And all of this needs to be done in a way that's computationally light, meaning that the computer can't run hundreds of lights on its own within Unity or within almost any 3D system live, because it needs to compute all of the color, the lighting, the shading, the shadows for each light. So what I've built is a system that puts on the show for the light beams, but then also coordinates using virtual lights its effects on the stage, on the floor, near the screens, and on the characters themselves. So if we zoom in on this guy, this effect that you're seeing with the green light on him and the cookies are not actual spotlights. These are custom shaders in a material I developed in order to pump hundreds of lights dynamically onto a concert that's populated by tens or 100 people, and then show light on them to be part of the audience themselves. So this is built from the ground up to deliver lightweight lights that nonetheless put on the show, bake all of the choreography to a timeline, and then send that through SmartFox multiplayer network onto other people, other participating instances. So this has been about 6 months of work, but that in itself has been built on years of developing within Unity itself. So I'll just run this again to show you another trick. If you look at his emission, you'll see it's changing color and pulsing. And then now, boom. The other avatars that have this, you see, are also synchronizing in real time. And this is also accomplished and choreographed within the timeline. So you can decide when it's going to pulsate to music, you can decide which color groups it's going to cycle through. And I've built in the ability, of course, to strobe it in time to music. Now, the production of music in itself is an entire thought process. I've built into my system the ability to take in music and then automatically create a DJ show, automatically capture audio in 4 bands of frequencies, and then time the TV screens to that. So immediately that reduces about 50% of the work. Once that's complete, I can go into the timeline and customize and edit and adjust the timing of all of the screen's activities. Now, I wasn't entirely satisfied with just that. So what I've also built into this system are parallax windows. These windows themselves, the content is generated in Comfy UI. I asked it to create a tiled network of rooms that you can look into. And then I built a custom parallax shader. So as you move from side to side, there's a little bit of motion in the rooms themselves. See? So you can see the blue section in the center shifts from being in the center of that framing for the window itself to side. Now this is a subtle thing, but it helps create not only a sense of life and depth in the surrounding environment, but also color. You can also see that the windows are varying the ambient color of the room, the brightness of a light within the room, and also whether the room is bright from window to window. Take a bit of water there. Now I'll run this again and show you yet another feature that I'm very proud of. Projection mapping. So the trick here is to mimic the geometry. So this projection mapping has the capacity to wrap itself properly around geometry. But in this case, I wanted it to look like an actual projection, meaning it has flaws, it has ambient light reflecting off of the building itself, and it's distorting in realistic ways. So you can see the bottom of it fades out. The sides of it distort around the edges of this building. Now, if I wanted to, it also has the capacity to accept a geometry map, distortion map, to wrap it properly. I didn't want to use a model's UV map straight ahead for this, because then it just looks like it's being textured by a map within a normal 3D computer universe. But this way, I have a lot of latitude to be able to figure out, is it going to look realistic, partially realistic? Is it going to map exactly? There's another layer on top of the video to map lines, in which case I'd want to use a distortion map. This is in itself inspired by the fantastic projection mapping I've seen in Prague, projected onto historic landmarks like the Orloj. Okay. Now, another thing we have here are a drone show. Jean-Michel Jarre's show in Bratislava has a terrific, locally made in Slovakia drone show. And I needed to have this in my system as well, because they add another dimension and expression to any concert show. So we'll just watch that. There we go. As with everything else, this can be choreographed within the timeline. And I've set up a set of geometry shapes that these can move into dynamically. The drones can chase color within their group. They can do color waves, and I can set the timing of how quickly or slowly it transfers from one shape to another. And of course, they can be turned on and off as well. Over here with the screen, you can see a bit of a subtle cloud effect. And once again, I needed to create depth without imposing too much work on a CPU or a GPU. So in this case, it's 2 levels of flat quads that have a smoke effect passing across them. So within a concert, it looks like there's some atmosphere without generating a large cost even for particles. I think it's kind of slick. So let's just jump back over here. This, of course, will be the catwalk stage. Now, the other thing I've been working on are holograms. Now, this one is using what's called a POM method. It's cycling through steps. It's a 2D video map that's paired with a depth map. And both are created within Comfy UI, Comfy AI. It's generated within Comfy to give me both the visual content and a depth map. The depth map is used to try and distort the image a bit to create a sense of depth. So it depends on the distance that you're viewing it from. But if you go from side to side, there's a very subtle depth effect available there. And I've also actually built in impacts. So when lasers connect with it, I can produce additional effects. I've since then created a green screen depth map and a green screen keying effect for these holograms so they can walk among us within the crowd. Now, being multiplayer, as people log into the system, their avatar will appear. And I've written in a queuing to manage the uploading and downloading of these avatars so they load in batches rather than all at once. Again, optimization is key. So that's it for just a very quick intro. Light beams, plate lights, laser lights, drone show, LED screens that are choreographed in space as well as time, holograms, and parallax windows, in addition to avatar shaders that accept virtual lights. So We're organizing this fashion show for April. You'll hear more and more about this as we start to develop the theme and advertise what we're doing. And it's all going to take place within this environment. The beauty about my custom concert light show system is that it can be in any environment, any music, any look, any time of day. And this now becomes a holistic expression for art shows, digital fashion shows, pre-visualization of your event, or straight ahead virtual events. So thanks again for your time and your attention and your kind attendance. And I look forward to talking again with you soon. Take care and cheers.